This is my intro music. Welcome to the video. I hope you like it lots, so don't forget to subscribe and click the thumbs up button. Now let's react.
Hey, hi, hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Para-Anthropology. I don't know why I'm doing it the spooky way, but here we are. Today, we're going to go over psychic powers. We're still watching Dr. Cayln Conrad's Paranormal PhD Speedrun. We're on day 4, which I know that this is video 5. Look, I had this idea that I was going to be able to do multiple days in one video. I was wrong. Very wrong. So very wrong. Look, guys, I talk, okay? If you're on this channel, you know that. Don't fool yourselves. I've already half recorded this video once, and I've already recorded another video before this, so I am brain dead. So this should be a lot of fun for you guys. You all seem to like it when I'm spacey. So here we go. I do have notes to go over for this video. I would like to think that you are not jumping into this series on episode 5. I would like to think that. So I'm going to maybe not lean so hard into repeating myself a lot. However, as I would hope by now, you are all diligent students and you can answer questions now. Like, what is haunted legitimacy? You guys should be able to tell me that. What is the experiential narrative sovereignty? I expect to see answers down in the comments section. And our third pillar, of course, being what is charismatic moral authority? See how I turn that on, you guys? Yeah. But those are our 3 pillars that we're going to be going over. I expect definitions, you guys. And the first person to say like car, plane, and bird, no, you're wrong. If you want to have deeper definitions of what the 3 pillars are, go all the way back to the very first video in the series. I talked for like a half hour. I'm not doing it again for everyone's sanity. Everyone's sanity. Today is February the 25th. I'm not entirely sure when this video is going to go up, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be after the GoFundMe has ended. But as of today, the GoFundMe is at 78%. So thank you guys a lot. That's amazing. I don't know if it's going to get to 100% before March, which is when I was going to start this PhD, but we're pretty damn close. And I told everybody if we got 2/3 of the way there, then we would do it. And we're what, 3/4? So we're good. So yeah, we're gonna go do that. We're definitely doing the PhD. So thank you everybody who donated to the GoFundMe. I really, truly appreciate it. I am working on cleaning up the Patreon. I had a Patreon for the Paranormal Archaeology channel way back in the day, So I'm working on cleaning that up so that we can put the PhD stuff over there, mostly because there's going to be some copyright and I just don't want to dick with it with YouTube. Because YouTube be YouTubing. But I do want to give you guys as much of this as I can. Because I want you guys to have the full experience. All of it. Some of you have said that you were interested in like a study with me kind of a thing. Some of you have asked for deep dives into the classes. That kind of stuff, I don't know if I can put on YouTube only because like Dr. Cayln was running into, Dr. Conrad. It's copyright. And I don't want to, I don't want to get in trouble. And B, I don't want to be like rude. It's not, this isn't hitting a button that requires a level of rudeness, right? So we're gonna play nice for right now. I'm still trying to figure out, because what I would like to do is somehow have a GoFundMe tier for y'all who donated to the GoFundMe. I'm not entirely sure how to do that exactly yet, but I'm working on it. I mentioned this in the last video, but I just want to restate it here. I was informed that Dr. Cayln Conrad's pronouns are they, them. I was already saying he, him. So if I slip up going forward, I apologize ahead of time. It's going to happen. But I apologize. I'm going to try to say they, them as much as possible. Probably just use their name as much as possible. this full video will be down in the comment section. Nope. This video will be down in the description, along with other papers that are going to go over anthropological and paranormal topics that we will be going over when I do this, because Conrad just did the basic metaphysical PhD. We're doing an advanced degree, an expanded degree. So we have 9 more classes to go over. Yay. And I want to look at it a little bit more anthropologically, because it says anthropology in the title. So I expect to see some anthropology. Just saying. I'm expecting some papers. The video is sped up just a tiny bit. Just a smidge. So, just FYI. I do have the closed captions on. Check one more thing. Let's get going.
I woke up full of pie and ambition, just like it says in that Dolly Parton song. I wanted those damn psychic powers more than anything. I'd always dreamed of it. Wanted to be like that rotten pseudo-orphan Matilda from the movies. The little miss with a...
I've never seen Matilda, and I didn't read the book. I don't know anything about Matilda.
Bad deal and too much brain. We had the same kind of childhood, the kind that leaves cracks in your bones, but where she got the gift, I got the bruises. Where she got to bend the laws of physics, all I got was the glitter kicked out of me. But now, thanks to Douglas, it was my turn. Pretty soon I'd be tossing junk across the room with nothing but a thought. Goose's litter box? That mess was about to take care of itself. And who better to learn from than someone with psychic powers themselves? Would I learn how to play guitar from someone who doesn't play guitar? Absolutely not. Because I wasn't learning how to play guitar. I was learning how to have psychic powers that I not only wanted, but were owed to me.
I really like his setup here with the really nice binder. I know one of you said something about a trapper keeper. I'm very tempted. Very tempted. But I was thinking maybe a trip to Staples or the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree's got some good stuff, guys. But I was thinking maybe go to Staples, get a nice binder like this, and then go to Dollar Tree and get everything else. But yeah, I like the setup here. Just FYI, I'm starting to think about stuff, you know? Cat here.
With the abundance of anecdotal and empirical evidence, there is no longer any question of whether psychic ability exists.
It's not how that works. But since we're starting off strong, we've already invoked the second of the 3 pillars, the experiential narrative sovereignty. Y'all make fun of me. I can't even do the words I make up. Anyway, one thing that Kelly always does is takes personal experience and story over actual evidence, especially if it reinforces something that he wants to believe. You will hear him say all the time that people have, well, we heard it a lot in the last episode where we were talking about near-death experiences. We'll hear it a lot here about people who have psychic abilities. These individuals, single individuals who have experienced something, and that in itself is proof. The only thing it's proof of is these individuals have experienced something. Something. Who knows what, but it was something. Was it psychic powers? Does it prove psychic powers? No. Sorry, not how this works. That also brings us to the third pillar, the Charismatic Moral Authority. Kelly puts himself forward as the authority, right? When you go through these classes, I think Kelly's the only person that teaches 90% of the classes. I think in the Para-Anthropology courses, there's another guy who teaches some of the classes. So I will have 2 professors, where I think Conrad only had Douglas Kelly teaching the classes. So that'll be interesting. But the point is, going up to the haunted legitimacy, Douglas puts himself forward as a professor, right? He is a college professor. And Douglas seems to have, I don't know why I'm calling him that. I know why I'm calling him that. Anyway, Dr. Kelly seems to have this idea that in an academic setting, you don't question your professors. He seems to move forward with that kind of a concept. And there's nothing farther from the truth. Like maybe your freshman year, maybe, But by the time you're in your advanced degrees, especially like your graduate and your PhD, you're expected to be discussing, challenging, not, like fighting, but, questioning things about your field. If you're not, may not be in a good school. And your professors are meant to be challenging you back. If you say something, they're probably going to be like, oh yeah, really? Why? You get that a lot. And you learn real fast. Don't say shit that you can't back up. You'll learn. But that's kind of the point. It's a give and take, right? So there is no moral authority when it comes to your higher degrees, because the whole point of the higher degrees is to teach you how to think independently and critically so that you can go forward and hopefully, influence others, right? That's the point. But in the way that these classes seem to be structured, Dr. Douglas seems to put himself forward as like an infallible source of knowledge, and to question him, as we've gone over, is to be a skeptic, or worse, a debunker. And those are two things we do not want to be, because those are like the worst that you could possibly be. But that's where he says this a lot, this insurmountable amount of evidence. Okay, but then never provides any of it, because we're not supposed to be asking for it. We're just supposed to be going, oh, well, Dr. Kelly said, and that's supposed to be the end of it. Like that's all we are supposed to need. And that's the charismatic moral authority in action. All right, let's go.
There remain far too many examples of indisputable psychic ability for a reasonable person to ignore.
This is the kind of moment that begged for proof. The kind that could shut a skeptic up for good. A perfect time to roll out the ironclad evidence of psychic powers too real to deny.
Mm-hmm.
But just like always, there's nothing. Mm-hmm. Not a crumb of the proof that's so indisputable. In my line of work, we got a name for that. We call it horse. See, nothing good ever comes from peddling a story about paranormal powers being real beyond doubt when no one's ever managed to show them in a way that couldn't be cooked up by a clever con. Then to turn around and say anyone who questions this, they're the unreasonable one? Well, we got a name for that one too. But I'll keep that to myself. Still, just because I don't believe that these abilities have been proven to exist indisputably doesn't mean I'm not open to believing. I am. I want to believe in all of it. Something is happening. It just has to be. Now, Douglas claims that he personally has psychic abilities, has two of what he calls the Claires, and I love this. They sounded like a clique of ruthless girls at schools, but they were something else entirely.
There's some really cute animations that are going to pop up, so if you're not watching the screen, now is a good time to watch.
Nickname for all sorts of psychic powers. You've probably met the ringleader, Clairvoyance, but there are plenty of other girls in the group, each with their own nifty little trick. See, each of the Claires got aligned to something the rest of us can't touch. Clairvoyance sees what hasn't happened yet. Claircognizance knows things no one's got any business knowing. Clairsentience feels what lay beyond the world of touch. Clairaudience hears the sounds that never even got made. Clairempathy is tuned into your emotions before you've even figured out you're having them. And then
I didn't even know that was a thing until I was watching a random paranormal show on Netflix, I think. I don't even remember. But it was just like an internet one. So it was good. But it was a guy and a woman, and they were investigating a house, and they brought in a psychic who her whole shtick was emotions. That was all she did. And I was just like, you hear the psychics walk around, I'm like, I feel, but that's all this person did. It was unique, I guess. And now to hear the actual name for it, I was just like, I know, I get that reference.
There's Clairgustance.
Gustance.
Poor kid. Her folks must have had a grudge to stick her with that name. Clairgustance? Well, basically, she can taste the dead.
Mm.
Yeah, taste them. If that was my calling,
Yummy.
I'd let the machine have it. And the professor?
While my own psychic ability includes claircognizance and clairsentience, I do not really think of myself as a psychic in the typical fashion. Unlike some others, I was not born with heightened psychic abilities. I've had to conduct research into the matter, as well as work to develop my abilities over the last several years, to the point that I have an uncanny and highly accurate ability to read people and situations in a way that goes beyond intuition.
We call that cold reading. A lot of psychics have that ability. So do a lot of people who do body language analysis. That's all cold reading is. They're just using your nonverbals and your body language to read you, and then they continue to draw conclusions or continue to throw things out there based on how you react to certain things. That dude that talked to the dead, he's going to mention him here in a minute. That's how he works. That's how almost all of them work. They start off with like, especially if they're face to face with you, that's even worse because then they can really see what's going on. Because then they're like in your face. But that's the thing. They'll just start throwing things out there until they get a reaction from you, and then they just keep building on whatever it is that you reacted to. And I know all of you think that you're way smarter than anybody who could ever do that to you. I know you all do, but let me tell you. And that's how this kind of stuff works. The thing is I just get the feeling that like Dr. Kelly truly believes he's got magic powers. Magic power. Well, I mean, yeah. I get that feeling, which is what kind of makes it even more dangerous, because you can pick this stuff up without having to go through like books and classes and that kind of stuff. You can just learn it just through observation. And that's probably what Douglas has done. He's probably just put himself in enough situations where he's learned to pick up on people's tells when he says certain things or when he does certain things. And he's just gotten good at reading situations in a way that he can effectively manipulate them to turn them into a haunting or to get information out of people so that he can effectively prove a haunting or, past life regression or psychic cold reading, psychic reading on them or something like that. It's just a talent that he's picked up, but he thinks he's developed a psychic ability. It's just knowledge. It's just a basic thing. Anybody can learn to do it. Well, almost anybody can learn to do it. Channels that are really great that you can watch this kind of stuff on. The Observe, great channel. I like that channel a lot because not only does he break down things, he's been doing some really rough ones lately, just because of like the atmosphere in the US right now. But he's been going over the body language of a lot of that stuff. It's rough. But I like his channel because he also really stresses the fact that you need, baselines for things. Stuff's not infallible. Everything's within context, that kind of stuff. So it's not like you just walk into a room and just and everything about everybody. It's not that kind of a thing. And he's very open about that. The other one is, I think it's called The Body Project. There's 4 guys. They all have really impressive CVs. Anyway, they're also really good sometimes they're a little rough to listen to just because they won't shut up about irrelevant crap. But when they do talk about the body language stuff, they're really, really interesting about it. But again, they're all 4 of them are very, very clear about the fact that, you need baselines, everything again within context. And they even argue with each other, honestly, sometimes. So it's a really great way to show that you can have 2 individuals who are trained, who disagree with each other about a certain tell, right? So I'll try to at those in the description down below here if you're interested in watching those 2 channels or giving those 2 channels a watch. But like I said, just read titles. Just read titles before you click on a video. They both go over current day events. There we go. So for some of you, you might not be things you want to look at. Right. Where were we? Yes. But Dr. Kelly is a cold reader. That's all he does. He just reads you until he gets a reaction, and then he builds off of that. And the next thing you know, you've given him all the information he needs whether you thought you were doing it or not. Most of the time, you think you're not doing it.
As for me, call me Claire Skeptical. It's not a power, I just don't want to be left out. Douglas seems to think, as he often does, that the Akashic records are the perfect way to explain his beliefs. He says maybe that's where the Claires get their powers, so that those tuned into things beyond the mundane are able to connect to the Akashic records using deliberate intent. How does a psychic know the layout of a room they've never stepped into, or the secrets of a man they've never met? Simple. They don't. Or, they're pulling pages from that silent library. Not magic, not exactly, just intent pointed in the right direction. He figures those cold chills and whispers in the dark, the ones that feel like ghosts, maybe they're not spirits at all. Maybe it's just the past bleeding through, a memory caught on a reel, looping in the ether. Not haunted, just a moment being shared.
I will give Dr. Kelly this about his use of the Akashic record, to explain the Claires, if one will. The Akashic record thing is not new. That's been around for a long time. But the mental gymnastics that Dr. Kelly just went through there, I realize that his words are being summarized, but the mental gymnastics that had to be gone through to make those sentences, I am fairly impressed with, because instead of just being like magic, Kelly's trying to put forward a rooted in the real world mundane explanation for why Claire powers work, and specifically why people who don't inherently have them can still build them and learn them. That's the important detail, because Kelly's claim is that he did not have powers. He learned them through research and practice. And that was him learning to tap into the Akashic record. So that's the explanation there. But it wasn't, epiphany. It wasn't spirits whispering in my ears. It wasn't, God. It was, to him, mundane research, hard effort, practice, and, the Akashic record, which is obviously real. Like the dragon in my garage that I'm totally not going to show you, but you need to believe that I have.
Now, if the Claires are the prom queens of the psychic world, then psychokinesis is the goth kid in the back of the class who always had their bag checked at the door. You might know her by her old name, telekinesis. That's the one Matilda has. The psychic ability to move or affect an object without touching it. That's the juice I'm after. I'm not here to trade recipes with ghosts. I wanted to slam a table into the wall just by thinking about it.
But what if you could trade recipes with ghosts? How many of you out there, be honest, would want to interview a ghost chef? Who wants to talk to, like, Julia Child? Be honest. Who wants to talk to, like, Thomas Jefferson's chef? That dude was trained in France multiple times. That guy was like one of the most highly educated chefs in America in his time. I would love to sit and listen to that guy teach you to cook. That'd be amazing. Also, his like macaroni and cheese. I want to know that macaroni and cheese recipe. I don't want a historical maybe. I want that dude to teach me how to make that macaroni and cheese. Yeah? How many of you would like that? I would love that.
In the psychic world, psychokinesis is the line between reading palms for pennies and making a real difference. Hell, with my newfound powers, I might even throw on a mask and a cape. Me. Mask. Sounds unbelievable. Douglas says both humans and spirits have access to psychokinesis, but again, if you think there's a ghost using psychokinesis to throw mummy's good china against the wall, you're probably wrong.
All the indications are that in the vast majority of the few cases that arise, poltergeists are not spirits or ghosts at all, but
they're literally called noisy ghosts.
Rather, unconscious, psychokinetic activity that originates with a human agent who is psychically sensitive. In many cases, The agent is an adolescent girl going through hormonal changes.
Why isn't it ever a menopausal woman going through hormonal changes? This shit ain't easy. I'm just saying. Nobody ever says we're poltergeists.
But this is not the only cause, nor are adolescent girls the only source. The agent can be anyone, regardless of age or
That's
gender.
right.
Haunting? That's a first period. Seen a shadow person? First period. Amity-style blood dripping down the walls all heavy flow like? First period for sure. To be fair to him, he clearly states it's not always a girl going through puberty. Sometimes it's a boy. But he also seems to always state that you should be on the lookout for one, just to be safe. Douglas, look to your left. Look to your right. If you see a 12-year-old there, leave him alone. See, having the gift is one thing, plenty of folks got it. But like I said, the real hook is in how you use it. Some are fine flipping a few cards or tracing lines on a stranger's palm as a way to keep the engine running. But others, they fake the whole act with a grin, aiming to make enough cash to fill more than just their gas tank. There's a whole racket out there built on the dead, and I ain't talking about my little spot on the airwaves. We don't make a dime off the grief of the living.
In case you're wondering what is being referenced here, because I didn't know when I first watched this, Dr. Conrad has a podcast. I think it's called Leave the Dead or something like that. He mentioned it briefly in one of the other episodes, but it was real quick. It was a real quick mention. But that's what he's mentioning again right now. Sorry, they're mentioning again right now is their podcast. So, in case you were wondering.
We trade in something else, the sins of the damned. And it's about time they paid for those sins. I'm talking about the likes of John Edward, Sylvia Brown, Teresa Caputo.
That was the hair. Are those three still doing their thing?
The usual suspects. To me, they're hucksters with a flair for theatrics. No more gifted than a coin tossed blind. And Douglas, always perched just on the edge of actual conviction, gives the expected nod that folks like this walk among us.
In the vast majority of cases, psychic readings are never 100%, even with true psychics. To be sure, there are fake psychics in the world who are dishonest and desire to cheat people out of their money using the person's own tender memories against him or her.
I wish the quote ended there, but he can't leave well enough alone. No.
I wish he'd stop there.
He's got to make it strange in that special way only he knows how.
But this in no way means that all psychics are dishonest or charlatans any more than it means all business people are dishonest.
Stop there, dude. Just stop. I know it's coming. Just stop there. It's fine. You made your point.
Just because one priest molests children doesn't mean they all do.
Could have just stopped. Could have just stopped at businessmen. Could have used any other analogy. Anything.
I have to say, he's right. Some professed psychics being grifters doesn't make all psychics dishonest or charlatans. What does make them all dishonest would be the fact that they are all claiming something they have no actual evidence of, usually for profit or personal gain, and often at the emotional expense of someone. Convincing someone that you possess abilities you have not tested and proven to be true is not a prerequisite in business. Abusing children isn't what makes someone a priest, but making claims that are completely unprovable based on a phenomena that has been tested repeatedly, through which all people making claims have proved themselves to be liars, deluded, or simply observant, is the entire basis of being a psychic. It is the fabric it is made of. For a long stretch, getting your skills tested wasn't just simple, it was a golden ticket.
I think I believe some people think they have powers. And I don't think they're malicious about it. Okay? I don't think every person who claims to have, clairvoyance or any other form of like psychic ability, I don't think every person on the planet who says that is a charlatan or is trying to hurt people or whatever. Like, I think the vast majority of people, honestly, are actually just basically normal people, honestly. I think the problem is the ones who do the fraud and do try to cash in and take advantage. They become so popular and they stick out so badly that they're the sore thumb, right? And they just kind of make people think that all people like that, or maybe all people like that are like that, but they make people think that all people who claim to have psychic abilities are like that, right? So there, I disagree with Dr. Conrad.
And you played your cards right? You didn't just walk away vindicated with your name and lights. You walked away swimming in cash. And all because of one man, James
Randi. Some of you will know who James Randi is. Some of you will not. James Randi was unfortunately, dude was like 100. Dude was over 100. Maybe he was just at 100. He was somewhere around 100 when he passed. And it was within the last few years, actually. Dude was old. I joke. Dude was old. Anyway, point being, James Randi was a stage magician. He would cold read. He knew all the tricks, right? That was kind of the point. And he was a skeptic. And he got tired of other people who were essentially doing the exact same thing. I mean, they were doing the exact same thing he was doing, cold reading and basically magic tricks. But they were trying to sell their tricks and stuff as magical psychic abilities. I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like he originally started his challenge specifically to go after the spoon bending guy. I can't remember that guy's name for the life of me, and I'm too lazy to go look it up. But because I don't actually care. Because it is much bigger than that now. Not just the cash prizes, but like the foundation became so much more than just testing psychics publicly and never finding one that could perform, right? So there you have it. But that's James Randi, and then the James Randi's Foundation. Now, I bring this up because one of you did ask, don't you feel bad giving money to a diploma mill? Not technically a diploma mill, but because it's not accredited. But I do understand what you're saying in that, like, when I first started thinking about doing this all the way back in January, I was like, this would be really fun, but I don't really want to give money to this. And then I saw the Para-Anthropology thing and I was like, oh man, that's just a red flag, man. This is like, I got to do it. But my thought was, when all of this is said and done, because there's only 19 classes, it's only going to take me, it can't take me longer than a month. It won't take me longer than a month. And so I was thinking maybe at the end of it, taking some of the profits that are raised from these videos and donating it to specifically the James Randi Foundation. I'm going to re-vet the James Randi Foundation because, again, James Randi has passed away. And I don't think he's been head of the foundation for a while now. But I just want to make sure everything's like above board. Just the way things have been going lately. And with the files coming out and certain names from things such as CFI being in said files, I got to be sure. I'm not saying anything about James Randi. I'm just making sure. But my initial thought and my current desire is to donate at least $1,000 to the James Randi Foundation, only because this degree is going to be about $1,600. And I would like to give at least $1,000 to the James Randi Foundation just to kind of balance the cosmic, the cosmic scales a little. So that's the other reason why I wanted to bring that up. So again, if you're enjoying this material, if you're enjoying this stuff, be sure to click like and share around. Maybe hype the video because we're gonna also help out James Randi's Foundation. R.I.P. James Randi.
Randi. For over 30 years, the James Randi Educational Foundation kept a suitcase full of money on ice, waiting for some Claire to come knocking. It started.
And if James Randi's Foundation isn't even active anymore, we'll find somebody else. We'll find somebody, right?
Small, just $1,000 for a little proof. By the time Buffy Summers was dusting leeches, the pot had swelled to a cool milli. All you had to do was show the goods. No tricks, no smoke, no mirrors. And they came in droves. Psychics, seers, spoonbenders. Almost 1,000 took their shot. Every last one of them missed. Some flopped so hard you could hear it echo off the walls.
The styrofoam and the lights form electricity which pulls the page.
Randy, the man behind the curtain, said they never seemed to stop and wonder if maybe the power wasn't real. Nah, couldn't be that. Had to
That comment there, James Randy says, they never stopped to wonder that maybe their powers weren't real. That's what I'm saying. Like even after being unable to perform, it wasn't, oh, my powers aren't real. It was, oh, the conditions caused them to fail. Right. And that's why I'm like, I think most people who have psychic abilities are just normal people who think they have abilities. Maybe they do. It's not, I can't prove it one way or the other. But when we start to have issues with it is when they start to do shit like the talking to the dead or the psychic detective bullshit or that kind of crap. Okay? That shit is when we start to have issues. Or when they're just flat out charlatans. That's when we start to have issues.
to be the lighting, the humidity, the static charge in the air, anything but the possibility that perhaps they were deluded. And despite this, Douglas finds no issue believing in psychic abilities.
There is no longer any question of whether psychic ability exists.
Again, this goes back to the Charismatic Moral Authority. There is no longer any question psychic abilities exist. You gonna back that up with anything? But I'm not allowed to question it. But the point is I'm not supposed to question this. If I'm taking this class, I'm not supposed to question this at all. I'm just supposed to be like, well, Dr. Kelly says that there's no longer any question. Obviously, they exist. Who am I? That's what I'm supposed to be doing here because the leader said so.
That there remains far too many examples of indisputable psychic ability for a reasonable person to ignore.
Such as, again, third pillar.
When Douglas starts talking like the matter's settled, like psychic ability isn't even up for debate anymore, I find myself looking around the room for an unseen and malevolent presence. Not looking for ghosts, of course, but for a goddamn gas leak. When it comes to folks who make their living claiming they talk to the dead, see your future, or can dig up your past lives like bones in the dirt, to me, the line between a harmless hustle and a dirty con comes down to one thing: honesty. If you're clear that it's all smoke and mirrors, then maybe I'm the fool mad at a parlor trick. But if you're cashing in on hope with nothing to back it up, not a shred of proof or a promise that holds any weight, then you're playing with fire.
I think I enjoy sleight of hand and stage magic. I like that shit. I love it a lot. And I think the best performers are the ones who are like, I'm going to fool you. Because you're like, no, you're not. I'm going to see through this shit. You never do. You never do. That's why cold readers are so bad. Because you think you're smarter than them. You think you are. They're going to get you. They get you every time.
And someone's bound to get burned. There is untold potential to do irreversible harm. Douglas doesn't seem to agree, though.
Nobody can successfully mount an argument against a person using his or her natural talents to earn a living. In fact, most people don't think twice about Hollywood celebrities and professional athletes earning millions of dollars a year, but then some of these same people will complain about those with psychic abilities using them to earn a living. It makes no logical sense.
There's a fine line. There's a real fine line there. Because there's a real fine line there. And honestly, I feel like if you put Dr. Kelly's, feet to the fire on that, I think he would define that line. I feel like, I don't know. We'll find out when we take the class. But there's a real fine difference between someone coming to you. Let's pretend someone comes to you with a question because you're advertising your psychic abilities or what have you. Or like with the Ghost Hunter show that I was watching, the Ghost Hunters went and found that psychic who did the Claire feeling thing. I didn't even know that was a thing. There's a difference between being sought out and being and the cold reading thing and then forcing yourself into the conversation, basically. like way back at the very beginning of this show, Dr. Conrad was talking about all the wannabe psychic detectives who would reach out to families who had lost a family member, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I can," to like nefarious circumstances, like someone goes missing, and all these psychics will call the family members and be like, "Oh, I'm having a vision. I see your loved one." Blah 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 blah. Like that's a totally different fucking thing, and I think that's where that fine line starts to get drawn.
Actually, if you pay someone to play a sport for you, they then demonstrably and irrefutably do that.
Also true.
Same can't be said for psychics. Folks don't line up for those velvet curtained parlors thinking it's a 50-50 gamble. They go in hungry for answers they think they can't find on their own.
True.
Funny thing is, they could. All it takes is a coin and the will to flip it.
Therefore, there is nothing ethically wrong with using your natural or developed psychic talents to earn a living, provided that you are honest, charge a reasonable and competitive professional fee, and provide something of value in return.
Competitive and professional fee? Is there a list? Here's the thing. People like going to psychics. They like going and getting their cards read. They like getting their palms read. And I think, as much as I sit here and I rally, I think there is some value in that. The same way that people like to go to holistic doctors and that kind of a thing. I'm not a big fan of like homeopathy. There we go. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't believe in homeopathy. It's water. But the thing is when people go to these individuals, they're getting one-on-one time normally. If you go to see a psychic and you pay for your hour, you get an hour. And you get an hour that's just you, right? And this person is just focused on you. And a lot of times it's cheaper than therapy. So, and that's kind of where I see why people see value in it, right? Especially people who are like repeat customers, because they see the value in it, in that it becomes a form of therapy. And again, we can discuss the morality of that, but in especially today's healthcare system in the US anyway, sometimes you got $40. You don't have, the 150 to 200, 300 sometimes dollars to go pay for a therapist, and your insurance sure as fuck isn't covering it. So that $40 card reader looks a whole lot more attractive than, that $300 therapist for one fucking appointment, right? And that's the other end of it. Like, the card reader gives you information, or feels like they're giving you information, even if they're just walking you through your own head, which a lot of times they are. Sometimes that's what you need, is someone to just walk you through it. You already know you're going to do something, right? You already have an idea. Sometimes you just need somebody to walk you through the steps, and that's what they're doing. So I see the value in it. Like with the homeopathy doctors and shit, you get one-on-one time with somebody who says they're a doctor, and they might know some stuff, right? But the point is that they're there. They listen to you for the time that you're there, because a lot of those guys, you buy time. You buy time to be there. That's what you're doing. You're buying time. And you get one-on-one time that is focused on you. And that's where the value comes in. It's a lot of times cheaper than actual healthcare in the US anyway. And you get you time with someone you perceive as being an authority. And that for a lot of people is comforting, right? And then again, with the psychics, they walk you, they're going to talk to you about shit. You go in and you're like, I have a problem. And they're like, all right, let's consult the cards. Let's talk to the spirits. Let's do whatever we're going to do. Let's look into our little fuzzy green or fuzzy orange microphone. There's a lot of room for scams, for abuse, for taking advantage of people, for what's the word? Well, scamming. That there's a lot of room for that there, especially once you have somebody who believes in you, trusts what you have to say. There's a lot of room for it to move beyond, oh, it's just a fun card reading, into, well, now I'm giving you all my money because now I need to know what's going to happen on Tuesday night, kind of a thing. That's when it gets gross. And that's when it becomes not good. And there you are. So I have I know it sounds like I'm waffling on it, because I guess I am a little bit, but your solution is make medical care not so expensive and more accessible to more people so that they can just go to a therapist when they feel like they need one. Make the therapist $40 for an hour. I'm just saying. That's your competition. Anyway.
It is time for the complainers to focus on those who earn $20 million to appear in a single movie and leave those who are actually trying to improve this world alone.
Now, see, the trouble with this setup is plain, because there's no real value behind it. Nothing you can hold up to the light and call solid. Just noise, like a lone nickel spinning on a diner table waiting to pick a side.
I already pointed out the value in it. Whether you like it or not, there's the value. I guess this is the difference between coming at it anthropologically and coming at it as a hard-scale skeptic. Conrad's what I call an angry skeptic still, which is fine. Perfectly fine. Still got the fire in the belly. The problem that I have as going through anthropology, I have to look at it from a completely different angle now, because I'm ruined. That's what anthropology does to you. It ruins you for everything. And I guess that's why I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, I can see why people would want to do that, because there is value there. It's value to the individual, but it's value. That person feels like their $40 is, I'm just using $40 because that's what I see advertised around here. They feel their $40 is worth that hour of time, and whatever that psychic's going to tell them is going to tell them. I mean, I've had my palm read. I've done a past life regression. I was told I was from another planet, that on the planet where we would bond with dolphins. Good times. I've had energy. What did they say they were? Energy psychics. They were reading the fluctuations in my aura. They were cold reading me. That went well. But the problem with those guys, and this is why I say these people can be really dangerous. I knew they were cold reading. And so I sat there and just whatever they said, I just agreed with it. Right. Because I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Whatever you say. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So by the time they were done, they'd said all kinds of shit by the time they got done. But my partner's younger brother was with us, and he didn't know. And he didn't know how to not engage. And by the end of his reading, he was in tears. They just reduced him to tears. And I was so mad. I was so fucking mad. Anyway, but that's why I'm saying these people are really dangerous, because they can get you like that, right? Anyway, where were we? Oh, value. Yeah, there is value in it. Whether Conrad sees the value or not is not relevant, right? Because Conrad is not the one engaging in the activity, I guess is where I'm going with this. Culturally, an individual might see value in going to someone like that.
Everybody hoping it's worth more than it is. And plenty of folks think they're saving the world. The Scientologists sure do. I should know. But that doesn't mean you let them run wild. Intentions don't mean a damn thing in the face of real harm. And even Douglas knows many of the claims being made don't pass muster.
It is important to understand that psychic readings are never 100%, even with true psychics. Any psychic who claims otherwise is, frankly, a fraud, or at the very least, full of him or herself. Always view your psychic abilities with respect and healthy humility, and never take yourself or your abilities too seriously. The best accuracy is around 75% to 85%. Typical accuracy among some psychics is only a little better than chance, 50%.
So you're cold reading.
The typical accuracy being around 50% means you may as well spend the money on some cute antique coins to flip. Douglas plays the part of
Yeah, but the cute antique coin isn't going to talk back. That's where you're at with that one.
the cautious operator, tells folks not to go shooting their mouths off with promises they can't keep, warns them to keep their hands clean from the real dirty tricks, like guarantees on a prophecy or offers to cast or remove curses.
Right. So, yeah. I think that's where the line starts to get crossed, right? That kind of stuff.
But him and me, we don't see eye to eye on the deeper rot. We fundamentally disagree on if it can ever be ethical to charge money for a service you cannot prove you're providing, especially when your customers are desperate, suffering. But luckily for me, the kind of psychic powers Douglas is going to teach me to access don't require preying on the grief of those left behind. Just a focused mind, a quiet room, and a goose.
Dr. Conrad does not like, I know I keep calling him that because I think it's funny, the talk to the dead people. And I don't like them either. And I say that with caution because I know my mom loves them. But she knows I'm a skeptic about it. So every time we go to Salem, the last few times we've been to Salem, we don't go often. She's wanted to go to a particular person there, and I'm not going to name drop. So, but she's liked going to that person to get, have communication with the dead. And on the one hand, I feel like you should be able to have closure however works best for you. But on the other hand, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I told her that. But I also said, hey, if it's going to make you feel better, I'm not going to stop you either. If it's going to make you feel better, then we'll do it. But yeah, it's like if they start asking for repeat customer for you to come back, we're not doing that. This is a one and done. So, but yeah, I can understand why Conrad has that kind of a negative opinion of this kind of a thing, because I do feel like that's kind of skeevy, a little bit more than skeevy. But like, I've had to deal with it personally within my own family, and it's rough. It's really hard telling people who are grieving, no, you can't go talk to the dead. You know, it's hard to tell them that. It doesn't really work. Also, they're adults. They're going to go do what they want to do. I mean, yeah, but if people had just walked up to her and just started like cold reading her on the street, man, that would be a whole different story. That would have been a whole different story. That had gotten ugly. But yeah, she sought this person out and she went to this person. And that's the only reason why I'm like, But I was like, yeah, we're not doing this more than once. We're not doing repeat customers. We're not doing, text messages from the dead or anything like that. So
when developing these abilities, it can take weeks or months to see progress. But don't be discouraged. You will see some results fairly quickly if you follow the techniques in the course combined with your own inner guidance.
Fairly quickly is good. Speed is the name of the game. Not breakneck, not crawling, just fast enough to keep my interest from slipping through the cracks. His instructions, they sounded simple. Maybe too simple. That kind of easy always comes with a catch. And this time was no different.
If you are conflicted about whether psychic phenomena are real, you'll never be able to develop your own psychic ability.
Well, ain't that just taking the easy way out? A real bait and switch, First it's anyone can develop their psychic ability, and now it's anyone who doesn't already believe it won't be able to see how true it really is by testing it for themselves. Oh, didn't work? Sounds like your fault. You just didn't believe hard enough. But I pushed that aside. I wasn't going to be discouraged. I'd wanted this my whole life. That had to count for something, right? Hell, when I was 12, I cast a spell in my basement, begging the universe for psychic powers. Thought maybe if I wanted it bad enough, it'd come find me. 20 years gone and not a flicker. Been waiting for that to kick in for a couple decades now, but today seemed like as good a time as any to get a little more proactive. First thing on the agenda was starting a psychic journal. Just me, a pen, and whatever strange truths might claw their way out of my head.
This psychic journal. This psychic journal becomes a side character. And I love it.
After that, the daily ritual began. It goes like this. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, if you remember. Picture a room.
If you remember.
In this room is where your psychic power comes from. On the wall of this room is a knob. Turn it and say, I increase my psychic powers.
I increase
wait.
my psychic powers.
For me, the waiting, the doing nothing, that's the hard part.
Am I allowed to open
And
my
so,
eyes?
I called it an early night. Only thing left was to brief my new psychic notebook on how the first day as a table thrower played out. Dear Psychic Diary, today was a great start to my psychic journey. I am hopeful that I will soon feel my powers growing, and tomorrow at the Institute, I've been promised near indisputable proof that life doesn't just exist after death, but also out there, everywhere, on thousands of planets across the universe. And those people, they've been here, watching, waiting, creatures from the dark edges of the galaxy slipping through the cracks, landing real quiet on our spinning rock. Tomorrow, it's all about aliens. Sweet dreams, diary. Yours forever, Cayln Conrad. Bachelor's degree.
Did we get our bachelor's degree? On day 4? Well, I guess we'll find out in the next video. I don't remember every detail about these, okay? All right. We made it to the end of day 4. Blessedly. Hey, it's not an hour and a half. No, we're not watching the next one. Because the next one's about aliens. We're going to be here a minute. I got a lot to say about aliens. You think I'm bad about it, skeptics, or about I don't like aliens. We're going to be a minute. All right, so if you've... Sigh. If you've made it this far, put a table down in the comment section. That's your emoji, is a table. Let me know what you guys think. This one, I could see this one potentially starting a lot of conversations. Respectful conversations. That's what we do here. And actually, I have a really good audience. I'm very impressed with all of you. Even when you disagree with each other, you tend to, you've always been very nice with each other. I watch your conversations. I've never seen them go off the handle because I'm always like, God damn it, am I going to have to kill this one? And like, no, you guys are always really good. So continue doing that because I feel like there could be a lot of conversation around this particular topic. And if there is, cool. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think about this down below. Like I said, I disagree with Conrad a little bit, but only a little bit. Just because like anthropologically, there can be value, there can be personal or cultural value in things like going to a psychic or, using someone who talks to the dead. But there's also so much room for misuse and abuse of that, right? So that's where we start having issues. And unfortunately, in our modern society, a lot of times when you, especially like the bigger named psychics and whatnot, you will find they almost always get exposed as being frauds. And once you're exposed for being a fraud, like, can you really say you were doing it to help people after that? Can you really say that? We're at the end. So what were our 3 pillars all the way at the beginning? What were our 3 pillars? I expect answers. Actually, I found out I can post quizzes now. So I'm going to figure that one out. How you like them apples? Now there will actually be quizzes. But yeah. So your emoji is a table. Please, by all means, leave comments, but be respectful. And thank you to everybody who's been supporting the channel. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to my members. You guys rock. Thank you to everybody who supported the GoFundMe. Again, this is hopefully going to be a lot of fun. And I will keep everybody updated on what and where and how. And that's all I've got for you guys. I'm going to go do anything other than make videos right now. I'm so brain dead. But I will see everybody in the next one. Bye.
This is my outro music. You can't copyright strike me because it's just me singing. This is my outro music. Thank you for watching. See you next time.